This Zoho video will show you how to submit a lease request once your application has been approved. Under the Real Exclusives tabs that we visited many times before, you'll see that now the property that you've put in your application for, once it's been approved, the admin team will change it on the back end to reflect this green color, which means it's time to submit a lease request. So you can either do that by scrolling to the right and going to your next step, which is submit lease request by clicking here, or you can go to the request tab and click on lease request. Either one will send you to the same place. Your deal will be auto-populated into here with the other deals that have been approved. So it will bring it up automatically. So the one we were looking at was East 77th. Once you put that in there, it will automatically add your name in there, or you and the individual that you were working with, which in this case was Gianna and Terrence. So if you were on this deal, it would automatically put your name in there. You want to fill in the floor of the unit and then continue down to the date, which would be today, the 17th. The lease start date, the lease end date. As we talked about previously, it's important to remember to calculate the correct time that your lease is going for, whether it's 12 months, 14 months, 18 months, etc. In our previous example, we had picked a 1-year lease from the 1st to the 31st. But remember, you got to make sure it's for the right year. The client's names: John Smith, Joe Smith. If there was a guarantor involved, you want to put their information. We had Sue Smith. The client's previous address. You can find this on their photo ID, or you can find it on their application. The rent amount, so the agreed upon rent amount, we'll say $3,000. Okay, any additional months of rent and months of security. Previous to 2019, if somebody was short with income or credit, we could allow them to pay a couple additional months of rent upfront or extra security. But since 2019 laws passed, that is no longer a viable option. So you're typically going to be leaving this blank, and how many months of security is going to be equal to 1. Okay, asking concessions and offer concessions. So what were the asking concessions originally? And if there was an offer, what was the offer and what was accepted? So you want to make sure you put these in here properly. We saw on the previous example, 2 months free on an 18-month lease and a 1-month OP. And that's what we were asking for, and we offered. So you can just copy and paste them into both. If it differs, make sure you delineate that there. Any special riders. In the lease, a rider is an amendment to the rest of the lease. For instance, for pets, in the lease, it will say no pets allowed. But by including a pet rider in the lease package, it will say that, nope, we're allowing pets instead. So if that's the case, make sure you ask for a pet rider to be included in this lease package. If you don't ask, the leasing coordinators cannot put that in there because they don't know that it belongs there. For instance, too, if we had a situation where this client saw the property, quote unquote, virtually, but didn't see it in person, something we would need to include is a sight unseen rider. So you want to make sure you let the leasing coordinators know that they need a sight unseen rider in here. Also, for this particular example, we're offering months free. That's a concession. So we need to also include a concession rider that lets the client know that those 2 months will be free, and that's within the lease too. So remember, if there's any special riders, and you can always review the different types of riders that are available within the lease, you can review those in the onboarding manual, but make sure you let the leasing coordinators know which ones you need in addition to the lease. And when is lease signing? You want to remember that we can't shoot leases out right away, but we can get them back pretty quickly if you give us the ample amount of time. It usually takes a day to 2 days to get leases together, so keep that in mind when you're scheduling your lease signing. We do want to sign them as soon as possible, but you want to also give the leasing coordinators ample time to make sure these leases are correct. So I usually say to give 1 to 2 days in advance of your lease signing. So if you have a lease signing on Saturday, Today is a great day to be asking for that because we want to make sure that leases get to you before the weekend. If you have a lease signing scheduled for Monday, great, even more time. So we have a good amount of time to get those leases back to you. Once you submit this will go to the admin team and leasing coordinators, and they will be able to write your leases up. They will send the leases to you via email, if they're paper, and let you know the directions on how to print them out, where to sign, where to initial, etc. If they are doing it electronically, they will also send that electronically to your clients. Remember, either way, paper or electronically, to offer your clients the support in going through the lease with them and being their right-hand person to ask questions to make sure they know everything that's on that lease. Okay, and that's how you submit a lease request via Zoho.